Earthlings, what's up? Jason Gaddis here with another episode of the Relationship Schools podcast, where we help you have awesome, beautiful, fulfilling, long-term relationships and friendships and family relationships and work relationships and so on. This is all things relational, although we primarily focus on long-term relationship. So there's over 250 episodes now. If you're just new, welcome. There's lots to listen to if you go back in time by title. Feel free to search. Lots of great interviews with the world's leading experts on love, conflict, neuroscience, relationships. And also, my wife and I have lots of conversations here, and then I have a lot of solo episodes, okay? So hopefully this is serving you in some way. If you want to join our free Facebook group, go to relationshipschool.com/community to join. We often have live Facebook Lives in there. I do those often on Mondays where I answer all your questions, where we review some of the podcast. It's a fun place to hang out and meet cool people, as well as I'm in there a lot, all right? And more these days. So come hang out with us, relationshipschool.com/community. The podcast review of the week is from Phil in Canada. He says, I've instilled several of the things I've learned within your podcast to my marriage, and this stuff works, folks. Listening is one thing, but doing the work is another. Listen to this podcast, then do the work, and you will see magical, positive ripple effects. Thanks, Phil, from Canada. Awesome. He titled it Better Than Counseling. Okay, sometimes some of us learn better this way. So if you want to leave us a review, just open your phone, scroll down to the leave a review section. You can do it with your thumb. It takes seconds to leave us a 5-star review. We're pushing for 500 reviews, guys. We're getting close. If you can help me out, that would be amazing. And I'll read your name around the holidays. I'm going to give a gift to the best review that we get here in December. So, yeah, I want to see them, guys. Thank you so much. If you type out a review like Phil did, even better. But if all you got time for is the thumb 5-star thing, great. We'll take it. Okay. All right. In this episode, I want to talk about divorce. Before I do, just a reminder, we're enrolling for the Relationship Schools 9-month training and our coaches training. Relationshipschool.com/DPIR if you want to apply. Okay. We are filling up quickly. And wow, do we have quite the crew. So if you want to come change your life, come apply. Okay. And then interview with our growth coordinator. All right. In this episode, divorce. If you're thinking about divorce, I want you to listen to this first, okay? If you're thinking about divorce, it's real, it's on the table. Maybe you've thought about it in the past, maybe it's currently up. Usually people wait until the holidays are over, which is interesting because January sees the most divorces out of any other month in the year. And it's the time when people reach out to attorneys the most in any other time of the year, apparently, okay, from what I've read. So, usually people do that. I think my theory is people are trying to stick it out during the holidays. They don't want to, rock the boat. They don't want to kind of fuck things up for the holidays. So they hold their breath. And then some people are hoping that, oh, maybe the holidays, it's a sweet time of year. Maybe it'll get better. And then it turns out it's not getting better like the fantasy they hoped. In January, they're like, I'm out. All right. So this is really common. Okay. So if you're thinking about divorce this month and you're going to wait until January, please listen. I want you to do a couple of things, okay? 3 things specifically. Number 1, I want you to look at the cost of divorce. First of all, let me just state my position here. I actually don't care if you get a divorce or not. I want you and your partner to be fulfilled in your life. And if that happens to be without you, so be it. If it happens to be with you, so be it. I don't have some moral high ground about you got to stay divorced because that's better and you're going to ruin your kids' lives if you get a divorce. You got to stay married. I don't take sides, if you will. And when I work with a couple, I don't have this agenda that you need to stay together. What I care about is the truth, and the truth comes out and you deal with it and you face it. And maybe it means you guys are stronger together. Maybe it means you go your separate ways. That's none of my business. But I'm in the business of helping people be who they are. And I help people use the relationship, marriage in this case, as a path to become who you are. So whenever your partner is triggering you, to me, that's fine because that's not a problem because it's growth material for you because you're the one getting triggered. All right. And it's on your side, the trigger, the activation. It's in your body. So let's deal with that. All right. And you are going to be better for it if you learn and you have tools and accountability. All right. Okay. So just so you understand my position. Now, the cost of divorce, apparently on average, it's about 20 grand in the US with attorney fees, mediation, time, whatever else it costs you to get a divorce. Okay. Legally. Interestingly, the average cost of a marriage in the United States is between 20 and 25 grand, which is ridiculous. That's how much people spend on marriages. And then they double that when they get a divorce. So you're out 45, 50 grand, okay, if you get a divorce on average. It's a lot of money. That's a college education for some people. It's a brand new car for others. That's a down payment on a house for others. It's a good chunk. But what I care about here is we're going to look at a couple different costs. Okay, there's the financial cost. So what do you imagine it's going to cost you financially to get a divorce? And if you're not even thinking about getting a divorce, this is still an interesting experiment. What would it cost you to get a divorce? Hire an attorney, mediation, let's say, counseling, coaching. Let's say you're the primary earner in your family. Well, maybe your soon-to-be ex-partner gets half every month. That's pretty substantial. So think about the cost financially, okay? And write that down. And this is all in one column, okay? What is the financial cost? Now look at what is the psychological cost and the physiological cost. So write those down. What is the psychological cost? What is the physiological cost on me? My health, my mental health, my well-being, my sleep, my eating habits, my weight gain, my alcohol consumption, whatever happens to me when I get stressed out and upset and I'm like dealing with a lot. What does that cost on my body, mind, and spirit? Okay. The next thing is on that same side, on the same column, look at what is the cost to others in my life if I get a divorce. So primarily look at your inner circle, which is your family, your kids, your parents, in-laws, siblings. What is the cost on them? Okay, just write it down. I'm just kind of offering a worst case scenario. So these are all really important things to write down. Who are the players in your life that are going to be impacted by your divorce? Okay, maybe coworkers. Maybe you need to write down coworkers. What's the cost on them? Or let's say you're an entrepreneur. What's the cost on your business for you to be dealing with this for a few months and stressed out about it and losing sleep over it? I'm guessing you're going to be less productive. You're going to be making less money, perhaps. It could really, impact that part of your life as well. So just write those down, all in one column. All right, take a big breath. It's can be intense to start to do this. You can hit pause on this, write it down, come back and listen again. All right, what is the cost? Yeah. Now I want you to write down in the right-hand column. Okay, it's just got two columns here. In the right-hand column, I want you to write down what are the benefits if I get a divorce. And same thing, go down money, physiology, psychology, and all the people in my life. What are the benefits to them and what are the benefits to me? Okay, this is an interesting experiment, don't you think? How could getting a divorce actually help me? So write all those down. Pause this, take some breaths. The action step here would be share it with someone close to you in your life and be like, oh my God, I just did this exercise. I listened to this podcast. And wow, this is what I learned about myself and my situation. Because if you're listening to this and you're still listening right now, that means you've been thinking about divorce for a little while. And maybe you're not married, but you're in a partnership, you're merged houses and families together, and you're still thinking about a separation or like breaking up. Same point here. Legally, it's a little more complicated when you're married because there's papers, documents, taxes, incomes. There's things that can get stickier here. So I'm primarily talking to the married folks, but maybe this applies to you if you're not married. Okay, so you've stacked up benefits. Okay, you've gone and done that. Next thing I want you to do, I want to just tell you a quick story about a friend of mine. We'll say it's a client of mine years ago who he chose to get a divorce. The marriage was just kind of chunky. He found out he was kind of infatuated with this woman. They had a hot, sexy, honeymoon period of 1 to 2 years. And then once they had a child, things got really dark. And the woman's kind of true colors came out. And it turns out she was really self-absorbed and all she cared about was her career. She made a lot of money. He didn't make that much money. And he was like, didn't feel like he was being treated well. So he's like, I got to stand up for myself here. I'm out. I'm out of this thing after, 6 years of marriage. And it turns out things got worse. Her behavior escalated and got worse. And attorneys got involved. And basically her attorneys are like totally out to get him. And it's dark. They're just like pit bulls. And they're trying to wring him dry. And it's really sad to see the whole thing go down because I'm like, whoa, people can get really intense. And I will say that the cost of divorce is going to be higher if you're in a conflicted situation with someone, all right? The higher the conflict, higher the trigger scale, higher the activation, higher the adversity, the difficulties you two have together, the harder it's going to be to get a divorce because you're probably going to need external help like attorneys and mediators, therapists, counselors, coaches to help you communicate. And then if you got kids, you're compounding that because you're co-parents now the rest of your life, whether you like this person or not, whether you respect this person or not. Whoa. Okay. This is why I tell people, slow the hell down if you're thinking about getting married. Make sure you vet this person out for years before you marry them because you just don't know. All right. Once you have kids and you blend your families and you blend money together and 5 years in, it's like, holy shit. Okay. It gets very hard. So slow down on the front side. But if you're on the backside now, it's downstream and you're talking about a divorce, these are some things to consider. So I have another friend, let's call him a client or a student, who got divorced and it was like the best thing that ever happened to him. And this woman I know is free now. And they they had to get a little bit of attorneys involved just because they had properties. They both had a little bit of money and they had to deal with the property factor. They had a child, but they had skills and they did things respectfully. There was never contentiousness, mean-spiritedness. There was never disrespect. They just handled it like adults and it was really smooth. And for her, it was like the best thing in her life. She's now found a new partner and it all is going well. I think they're engaged at this point. So that's pretty cool. These are two very different stories, right? So for some people, divorce can actually make things incredibly worse and harder. For other people, it's like, finally, I have relief I've been looking for my whole life or many years, right? So it's different. And I just encourage you to dig deep here and find out what are the costs, what are the pros and cons really to your situation, all right? Because it might be that it's helpful, but I'm telling you what, and this is the third thing I wanted to mention before you consider really moving forward with a divorce, is your issues will follow you, all right? So it doesn't matter how smart you are, how good of a communicator you think you are. If there's unresolved stuff between you and your current partner that you're thinking about leaving, that stuff in you is going to follow you and you will just draw in another person in your life to challenge you in the same spot or very similar spot. And it might not be for 4 years, it might be 2 years, it might be 6 months down the road. But I can almost bet money on the fact that your issues are not going anywhere until you deal with them. And so, if you feel kind of overwhelmed right now, maybe that's the break you need. But plan on your issues coming right back to haunt you in a few years if you don't deal. Okay, so divorce is never a good remedy, or breaking up with someone for, I wouldn't say never. It's rarely a good remedy for you working through your issues unless you've been a doormat your whole life and finally standing up and using your voice and getting a divorce is like the empowered move for you, then great. That's a growth edge and a growth step for you. But for most people, it's like, I need a break from all this activation and I'm going to take a break. And then in a couple of years, I'll be dealing with the same thing again, different person. Okay. And remember, successful marriages hinge on one thing, the ability and willingness to work on and handle your own activation and the other person's. Okay. All the podcast interviews I've done with world experts here, including myself, are that's the issue. Okay. contempt. The Gottmans say it's contempt, which is basically the same thing. You get to a point where you can't stand what you feel in relationship to the other person, and you don't like the other person. You've lost respect for them. That's divorce. Okay? And if you can't handle the way they are when they're triggered, and you can't handle your own shit, you're probably not going to go very far in a long-term relationship. So if you can develop that skill, guys, you are going to have a better chance at succeeding in long-term partnership. All right? And if you want more info on that, of course, the action step here is come to the relationship school and study and train and change this stuff for good in your body, okay, in your being. Relationshipschool.com/DPIR if you want the download, if you want to apply and interview with us and join us, because this course will change your life, okay, if you can't do it on your own. Okay, thanks everybody. Here's to a beautiful holiday season for you. All right, as you know, we start another round of the Relationship School. Here's another amazing testimonial from this incredible human being named Tim. Check out what Tim got from our 9-month training.
At the beginning of Deeper, I didn't really know exactly what I needed from the course. I knew I wanted to be in the course. I knew I would find value and benefit in it, but it wasn't until being in it for the whole time that at the end of the course, I could say my biggest takeaway was about personal responsibility, owning my choices and understanding, particularly in relationship, why I've chosen and acted a certain way and what that was all about. Taking Deeper has given me a full toolbox of relationship skills to use, but also it helped me understand why I was behaving in certain ways in relationship, particularly around conflict. And once I could understand that, that was just a big sea change for me. Being in Deeper is a way to experience community. It's a way to experience myself in the biggest expression of who I am, and also to have the support and challenge in a community, in a really safe space with Jason and all the teachers. It was the best experience.
Boom. Tim had an awesome growth experience. Thanks, Tim, for all your hard work and inspiration. And if you want to apply, remember, we interview everybody that goes through our program. We want to make sure it's a good fit both ways, right? Relationshipschool.com/DPIR. Okay, and you scroll down and there's an application button. Okay, hope to see you here in 2020, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Relationship School fans and Smart Couple listeners, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, all right? Do us a favor, subscribe, share one of these videos with a friend, all right? We want to help the planet get their act together around relationships, and you are one of them, so thank you.